On today's episode, I'm here in the freezing cold, windy city of Chicago to visit my friends at Laurel BMW of Westmont. They gave me an M4 and I couldn't say no. Now this morning, when I left New York City, it was 51 degrees. When I arrived here today, it was -2 with a wind chill of -19. So I wanted winter, I got winter. Now on today's episode, we're gonna talk about the 5 essential things, the things every single car guy should know when driving his car in these harsh environments, the winter months. That's all coming up today on this freezing cold episode of Drive Clean. This is the latest addition to BMW's line of M Performance coupes. The M4 produces 425 horsepower from its twin-turbo inline 6-cylinder. With a top speed of 163 miles an hour and 0 to 60 times of 3.7 seconds, the M4 continues the M-line's legacy of luxury and performance. Our demo car today is pretty spectacular, no doubt about it. But what happens to this or any car when the temperatures drop below freezing? What are we as car guys doing to ensure similar performance and, more importantly, safety during the winter season? Let's start with fact number 1 you should know. Winter is extremely tough on batteries and is the most common source of stranded vehicles in the winter months, according to AAA. Now, batteries die for 2 main reasons. First, on cold startups, our engines are far more difficult to turn over because the engine oil is far more viscous and thick from the freezing temperatures, which requires more power from your battery to push through the cold, molasses-like fluids. Now, second, the chemical reactions that take place within the battery itself to generate electricity are also severely diminished as temperatures plummet. So think about it. The starter requires more electrical power to push through the thick fluids, while at the same time, the battery naturally produces less power because of the cold. This is why cars crank slower and often die during the winter months. So how are we to prepare for this? First, check your battery terminals to ensure the positive and negative contacts are secure and free from corrosion, which will diminish its overall output. If they are corroded, remove the cables and use a wire brush and/or baking soda water mix to clean the contact surface prior to reconnecting. Next, make sure to check your battery's label for its cold cranking amps, also known as CCA. This is a measurement of the number of amps a battery can deliver at 0 degrees Fahrenheit and not drop below 7.2 volts. Be sure your battery's CCA is compliant with your vehicle's requirements found in your owner's manual. What's amazing is that batteries typically lose 35% power at 32 degrees Fahrenheit and a whopping 60% power at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, so a high CCA is vital to your car's winter startup. Now, any dealership or local auto parts store can test your battery in 5 minutes to help you decide if it's time to replace or to upgrade. Lastly, always remember your battery is like a piggy bank. The more you take out, the more needs to be replaced to achieve the same level of power. So in the winter, be conscious of leaving cell phone chargers, GPSs, and other devices plugged into the electrical system for extended periods of time, especially when the engine isn't running and recharging your piggy bank. The next most overlooked aspect of driving in winter is proper windshield wipers. Now, all of us, including myself, have driven with worn-out wiper blades that leave streaks and smudges, rendering the driver virtually blind from oncoming headlight glare. Not fun and definitely not safe. There is a huge difference between summer wipers and winter wipers you need to be aware of. Winter blades, shown here, have a rubber coating called anti-clogging armor. This prevents ice from freezing around it and allows the rubber to bend and flex as it sweeps across your windshield. Second, the frame is far more sturdy because there are no moving and adjusting parts under the rubber coating, unlike that of the summer blade that bends and flexes easily. A stiff winter frame prevents ice from bending the blade as it moves slush and snow away from your glass. Lastly, the rubber blade is synthetic. Instead of the summer wipers that have a softer natural rubber, synthetic rubber blades stay soft and flexible in cold temperatures, which resists common tearing during these harsh months. It's also a good idea to clean your wiper blades after every car wash by simply spraying your favorite window cleaner on a microfiber towel and gently wiping the rubber to clean any bug or debris that may hinder flush contact with the windshield. Number 3 is checking your car's antifreeze to ensure you have the correct ratio of antifreeze to water that will protect your engine block from freezing and potentially cracking. Antifreeze is an additive which lowers the freezing point of a water-based liquid. An antifreeze mixture is used to regulate freezing points in cold temps and boiling points in hot temps. It also has corrosion inhibitors that protect the metal radiators from rusting and causing harmful internal debris. As a general rule of thumb, it's recommended that you should avoid mixing different color antifreeze solutions as it may severely decrease its effectiveness. So, if you have a yellow coolant, top it off with yellow. Likewise, if you have green coolant, then top it off with green, and so on. Now, to give you an example of the antifreeze mixing ratios and how they correlate to cold weather protection, I have 3 cups here to mimic the cooling system of your vehicle. All right, guys, so mixing ratios are huge, and it depends on where you are as to what ratio you're going to use. Generally speaking, within the 50 states, we use 50-50. So 50% antifreeze and 50% water. So that's a way that you can remember that within the 50 states. If you go up into northern Canada, that may change the ratio to 70-30 or something along those lines. So keep that in mind. But I wanted to show you an example here. This is 100% water, as if your engine was only running water to cool it. Let's say in the lower states or in other countries where it's very, very warm all the time. Then you have a 50-50 mix right here. And we have antifreeze. So what I'm going to do is fill this up right now and pretend like this is your engine. So we'll put antifreeze in right up to the line. So that's 100% antifreeze. And now I have a bit of water in there, so that's 50%. And then I'll add 50% more right there of antifreeze. So here's the cool part. I'm going to show you the difference between all of them. So first we'll start off with the water. So if you're going to watch this reader here, I'm going to put it all the way in, right? Squeeze it. The water is going to come up. This is going to tell you the freezing point. You see it's just barely at about 32, which is right around there, Fahrenheit. All right, so we're going to put this in the 50-50 mix, that it goes down to about halfway, which is where you want it to be, which is around negative 20 degrees. Now if you go to full antifreeze, we'll bring it all the way up. Now as you can see, full antifreeze is off the charts. So that's negative probably 50, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can get some really good freezing protection. Now the idea is you want to kind of stick to the temperatures that are in your area. So around here, you're basically going to get as bad as negative 20, negative 30, maybe negative 32 degrees. If you go super north, you may need to use full-on antifreeze here. So generally speaking, stick to the 50-50. Tip number 4 is widely considered the most important safety advice, and that, of course, is your tires. It's no secret. Tires are the only thing gripping the pavement, and along with it, the control or lack of control of your car. Summer tires, also referred to as performance or high-performance tires, are generally comprised of large tread blocks with high lateral stiffness, with wide grooves to expel water rapidly. The rubber is calibrated for warm temperatures and will harden in colder climates, significantly reducing their grip and ride comfort. Winter tires, on the other hand, are intentionally designed with special compounds to retain their flexibility and grip even in the coldest temperatures. Now, thousands of tiny cuts known as sipes crisscross the tire tread and increase surface area and edges for added traction. These designs can give the vehicle a soft or squishy feel because they're not as stiff as summer tires. Then you have all-season tires, which are a blend of summer and winter tires and are found on most cars today because of their intended dual purpose. They have a less aggressive tread designed to avoid road noise, but they have a harder compound to increase tire wear longevity and less siping cuts for better fuel economy. So what's the best tire for you? I think it all depends on your home climate, what level of performance and safety you require, and how willing you are to swap your tires when the seasons change. For me, I prefer high-performance summer tires in temperatures that are higher than 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I swap to high-performance winter tires when the climate dips below 40 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit in New York. My best advice is to make a conscious, personal decision and pick the most appropriate tire for the season and your car's performance limits. Don't just accept anything that comes stock on your vehicle. The last tip is a combination of my 3 favorite winter tricks I seem to use every year. The first tip is to prepare your door locks before freezing temperatures arrive by using lock deicer like this one here. Or you can use WD-40 or even Vaseline in a pinch. Now, locks, windows, and door jambs freeze because of the moisture buildup from the inside of the car's cabin as heat passes from the inside to the outside. This transfer from hot to cold creates moisture that eventually freezes, causing the metal rollers within the lock to become a solid chunk of ice, and you can't use your key. So here's how the deicer works. Simply push the nozzle into the keyhole and compress it 2 to 3 times to coat the inner rollers with lubricant. You can also use WD-40 as a second choice to help minimize frozen locks, but excessive use may cause the lock rollers to gum up over time, so only use it as a last resort. For older cars that only have key entries, it can be very helpful to dip that key in Vaseline, wipe it clean, then coat the rollers by moving the key back and forth inside the lock to help avoid water moisture from freezing up after your next drive. A good habit to get into in late fall is to inspect your door moldings or gaskets to ensure they're in good shape, and to apply a bit of lubricant to help repel moisture as the temperature drops below freezing. For this, you can use Vaseline or WD-40. Apply a bit to a microfiber towel and massage it into the rubber seals, and you should avoid any potential door freezes down the road. All right, guys, this is more of an OCD thing than a tip, really. Now, every year I have customers come in after the winter, and in spring they show me their car and they see these long scratches, and I say, what are these? And they say, oh, I used a broom to get the snow off my car. And I go, you can't do that. And they say, oh, and I find these in the back seat. Now, of course, these are only for glass, including this really stiff brush. You can scrape ice off with this and brush off the remaining part, but that's it. You don't want to use it on the paint. So what are we to do when there's snow on the car? Do you use your arm? Not a great idea either. So they came out with this thing called the snow rake. Now it's super soft, it's flexible, and it's much safer than using a normal ice scraper. But at the end of the day, you guys know me, I always wipe things on my chin and I go, you know what, it's still a little too rough. So on my black Porsche, if I were to wipe this on, you would absolutely see streaks. So my craziness in the middle of the night said, I put this down like this, I took off the handle, I pre-cut some holes in my microfiber towel, right there. So this is the hole for the wood. Now I take the pole, I screw the pole in. What it's doing is holding in that microfiber towel so it's not gonna wiggle at all. And now I got myself a microfiber snow blade. It takes you 2 seconds to do it, and it'll help minimize those scratches and those streaks so I don't have to see them in springtime. When pushing snow off your paint, the goal is to lift the snow rake slightly so that it barely skims the surface of the paint. This will help avoid long scratches from crushing the snow and ice between the rake and the paint. Lastly, don't lean on your car as you remove the snow, because most winter jackets have large metal zippers that will easily gouge the paint. Use the pole and only reach halfway across the car at a time to be extra safe. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching this freezing cold episode of Drive Clean right here on the Drive channel.